Look at two maps, just two maps. The first map is from August 3rd, 3 fires burning around Spokane. The Old Trails Fire, the Fairview Fire, the Autumn Lane Fire, more than 10,000 acres. And in the corner of that map, 3 numbers, 0%, 0%, 0%. Nothing was contained, nothing was under control. The fires went where they wanted, when they wanted, and all anyone could do was run in front of them and yell at people to get out. The second map is from August 8th. Same fires, same footprint, just over 10,300 acres. But now look at the numbers. Autumn Lane, 47% contained. Fairview, 43%. Old Trails, 31%. In 6 days, these fires went from completely out of control to nearly half pinned down. And here is the part that should make your jaw drop. They did it while a red flag warning, the most dangerous fire weather there is, was blowing right in their faces on Friday and Saturday. How? That is what this story is, not the fire, the comeback. Because what happened in Spokane this week is one of the great untold firefighting stories of the year. And almost nobody outside Eastern Washington has heard it told right. First, you need to understand how bad August 3rd really was. 0% containment is not a number. It is a feeling. It means there is no line. It means the fire is the boss. On August 3rd, crews were not fighting these fires in any real sense. They were chasing them, evacuating neighborhoods, saving what could be saved, watching homes burn that they physically could not reach. Firefighters will tell you that chasing is the worst feeling in the world. You're working as hard as a human can work, and the fire does not even notice you. So what changed? Let me take you inside the 48 hours where everything turned. It starts with the sky. Fire behavior is weather behavior. In the first days, Spokane had the worst kind, hot, dry, unstable air, with wind that pushed the fire faster than crews could move. But midweek, the window shifted. Temperatures eased just a little. Humidity crept up just a little. Overnight recoveries, that is the term for how much moisture the air gives back after dark, got better. Little things. To you and me, a few degrees is nothing. To a fire, it is the difference between sprinting and walking. And fire crews live for that window. The moment the fire slows down, they attack. Here is what that attack actually looks like, because most people have no idea. Containment does not mean the fire is out. It means there is a line around it, a barrier of bare dirt, bulldozed earth, hand-cut brush, roads, rock, anything the fire cannot cross. Building that line is brutal work. Hand crews with chainsaws and Pulaskis cut through brush on steep ground. Bulldozers scrape wide paths down to mineral soil. Then when the line is built, crews often have to burn out the fuel between the line and the fire itself, fighting fire with fire deliberately at night when the air is calm. Every percent on that map is miles of that, miles of dirt cut by hand, by people working shifts so long that sleep comes in 90-minute chunks on the ground. Now, the second thing that changed, the people. By midweek, the force on these fires had grown to more than 220 personnel. And here is a detail I love. Some of them came from California. Think about that. California has its own fires. California always has its own fires. But the mutual aid system in the American West is built on a simple promise. When your neighbor's town is burning, you send your trucks. So engines and crews rolled north into a state that was not theirs to fight for families they would never meet. Firefighters have a phrase for this. They call it showing up for each other. No contract requires the heart part of it. They just come. Third thing, the air war. When conditions allowed, aircraft joined the fight. Tankers dropping retardant, that pink stuff you see in the videos, ahead of the fire's path, coating the brush it was about to reach. Helicopters dipping buckets and hitting hot spots that ground crews could not reach. The air war does not put fires out by itself, but it buys time. It cools the edge. It lets the people with the chainsaws catch up. Sky, people, air. Those 3 things came together in a window of about 2 days, and that is when the fire broke. You can see it in the numbers. On one day, the map showed nothing but 0. Then the first containment numbers appeared. Small ones, 5%, 10%. Then day after day, they climbed. 31, 43, 47, each number announced at the morning briefing, each one representing another chunk of fire that now has a wall around it, and the footprint stopped growing. 10,332 acres, that number has held. For a fire that was eating neighborhoods a week ago, a footprint that stops growing is the loudest sentence in the report. It means the fire is no longer in charge. And there is one more piece of this comeback that deserves its own minute, because it is the piece nobody sees, fire camp. Every big fire builds a temporary city. Somewhere near Spokane right now, there is a camp that did not exist 2 weeks ago. Rows of tents, shower trucks, a kitchen serving thousands of meals a day, a medical tent, a communications tent, mechanics working on engines all night so they can roll at dawn, caterers, fuel truck drivers, the people who sharpen the chainsaw chains by the hundred. A fire this size is not 227 firefighters. It is a small army with a supply chain, and every single person in it is part of the number on that map. The work itself has a rhythm civilians never see. Morning briefing before sunrise, every crew boss gets the same maps, the same weather, the same plan, then the long drive out to the line in the dark, then hours of cutting, digging, dragging hose up slopes that would wind you just walking them. Then the pullback, the debrief, the meal, the few hours of sleep, and the alarm again, day after day. The 47% on that map is not a statistic. It is that rhythm repeated thousands of times by people whose names you will never know. Now, here is where I need to tell you the other side of the story, the human side, because numbers on a map do not show you what a week on the line does to a body. A wildland firefighter on a fire like this works 16-hour shifts, sometimes more. They sleep in a camp or hence trucks the ground. They eat whatever the camp kitchen serves at 4 in the morning. The air they breathe is smoke all day, every day. Their boots melt a little, their hands crack, their shoulders ache from the saw. Some of them have not hugged their kids in a week. Some of them have their own homes an hour from the fire line and do not know, hour to hour, whether the wind might turn toward their own street. There are injuries on every big fire. Twisted ankles on the steep ground, burns, heat exhaustion, chainsaw cuts. The medics at fire camp stay busy, and every single firefighter out there knows the dark truth of their job. The fire does not care how tired you are. Fatigue is when mistakes happen, and mistakes on a fire line are how people do not come home. That is why I need to end this story with a warning, not a celebration. And it is not my warning. It is the fire chief's warning, and they have been saying it plainly in every briefing this week. 47% is not 100%. Here is the cruel secret of firefighting. The last stretch is the most dangerous stretch. When a fire is at 0%, everyone is scared, everyone is careful, everyone respects it. When a fire's at 90%, people relax. Homeowners drift back too soon. Crews have been going for 2 weeks and their legs are heavy. The fire looks beat, and that is exactly when it finds the one gap in the line, the one spot of heat nobody checked, the one gust of wind at the wrong hour. Fire history is full of tragedies that happened on fires that were almost contained. Ask any old firefighter. The almost is what kills. And Spokane just proved it still has fire weather to deal with. That red flag warning on Friday and Saturday, hot, dry, unstable air, the worst kind, hit right in the middle of this comeback. The lines held. That is the good news, and it is real good news. The lines those exhausted people built actually held against the wind. That tells you the work was good. But the warning also told you something else. The season is not done. The land is still dry. August is not over. September comes after August. One more thing about what containment percentages actually demand from here on out, because the public almost never hears this part. Holding a line is not passive. A contained edge does not watch itself. Crews have to patrol it, walking the line hour after hour, feeling the ground for heat, cutting open smoldering stumps, chasing down the smoke columns that mean something is still alive underground. Roots burn. Fire travels through the root systems of trees, inches below the surface, and can cross under a perfectly good line without ever showing a flame. Firefighters call those hidden crossers sleepers, and hunting them is slow, filthy, shoulder-destroying work with chainsaws and shovels. That is what the next weeks look like. Not dramatic runs and airdrops, but thousands of hours of patience, in the smoke, on ground that has already burned once. And the weather models matter now more than ever. Every morning briefing starts with the meteorologists. A wind shift, a dry cold front, a thunderstorm with lightning but no rain, any of those can undo a week in an afternoon. Fire season in eastern Washington does not politely end when the map looks good. It ends when the rains come, and the rains do not answer to anyone's schedule. So tonight, here is where things stand. 3 fires, nearly half surrounded. A footprint frozen at 10,332 acres. 227 people. Neighbors and strangers, locals and Californians, standing on miles of hand-cut dirt, holding a line that a week ago did not exist at all. They went from 0 to 47 in 6 days. In firefighting, that is not a statistic. That is a miracle made of blisters. But the last 53% is still out there, glowing in the dark. So if you are the praying kind, say one for the people on the line tonight. They got Spokane this far. And here is one more reason to keep watching. The demobilization question is coming. Every day now, incident commanders have to decide which crews can go home and which must stay. Release too many too fast, and a wind event finds a thin line. Hold everyone too long, and you burn out the very people you will need for the next fire, because there is always a next fire somewhere, and it is August. That judgment call, made in a trailer at fire camp by people staring at weather models at 5 in the morning, is where the last chapter of this fire will be written. Now comes the hard part. And when it is finally done, when the last sleeper is dug out, the last engine rolls home, and fire camp folds back into an empty field, remember what the arc of this week actually was. On August 3rd, 3 fires owned this county, and the number was 0. 6 days later, nearly half of that fire was behind walls of hand-cut dirt, built by 227 people who refused to lose. That is the whole story of Spokane in one sentence. Hit as hard as a place can be hit, and standing back up before the smoke even cleared. And for the people watching from outside Washington, one closing thought. This week, your state sent crews to somebody else's fire. That is how this works now. Fires are too big, seasons are too long, and no state can fight alone anymore. The Californians sleeping in a tent city outside Spokane tonight are the proof. Someday soon, the trucks will roll the other direction. They always do. That is the deal the West has made with itself. And this week in Spokane, the deal held. 0 to 47 in 6 days in red flag weather. Tell that story the next time someone asks what those crews are worth.